Ben are back for another video, and this time we got something special. Jumping in video 3 of what we've done. I've got a before and after game, both played in the same year. The first game was played in April, and then the next game was played in September. So there was a decent gap between them, but there was a lot of lessons that could be learned from the first game. It was a game in 30 game, and I had forgotten my clock going to the tournament, so we ended up having to use an analog clock, and this was the Scholastic State Championship of Alabama. And this was a key game. I'm playing against my main rival. We have very, very similar ratings. We're both about 1,600. And basically, if I won this game, I'd be going to Denker, the Tournament of High School Champions. And it's a full paid trip to go to the U.S. Open, where Denker's happening, and you only play against all the other state champions. And it's a very prestigious tournament. So, needless to say, I wanted to win very, very badly. And I was pushing hard to win the game. So we'll figure out what all I did wrong, talk about the psychological errors after going through the game, and you'll see how rough this game was because I was extremely nervous. So let's get started. Now, I was white, and typically when I was trying to win, I was playing E4 back in the day. By the way, this game was played in 2005, so that means I was a junior in high school. I was in 11th grade. C5, knight of 3, and we have the most popular opening in tournament play, the Najdorf. And at this point in time, I still didn't know really any theory. I was just kind of, I got the first few moves, that's all I need, a lot like you guys do right now. But after this game, I learned a lot of lessons and started getting better. So I played Bishop E2, which is the classical, which is Karpov's move. There's a lot of different ways for black to handle it. He can play E6 or E5. E5, typically, it looks something like this, where both players will develop their pieces in this type of way. I mean, black typically gets that type of structure. And then, say you get like King H1, castles, and F4. Sometimes you play A4 to stop this over here, but then F4 at some point. And this is normally, just solid. Like when Karpov played E4, prior to, I think it was the 87 match. 87 is when he started playing D4, and then he kept playing D4 forever after that. But this was the type of stuff that Karpov played. Very solid. Now, after this, I realized that I didn't play this right at all. So after knight bd7, my opponent didn't either. I mean, e5 or e6 are the main lines. You don't know that you want the knight on d7 yet, so that's a little bit inaccurate. Then I played bishop e3, natural enough. And then here, after e6, I played g4. So clearly I changed my mind from being solid to going to full aggressive intention immediately. Got to defend the pawn. And now we've turned into an English attack to where this bishop doesn't really belong. Like compared to the normal English attack, if we got the same type of position, it'd be more useful if this bishop was on f1 and I was already castled queenside. He plays b5, I play a3. Typically that's not a good idea. And then another reason why this bishop doesn't belong here, if I was castled queenside right now and he played b4, this knight would be able to drop back to e2. So you can see, misplacing even one piece causes you to have to make other moves which you don't normally want to have to make and waste time. So a3, a move I don't want to have to make. Bishop b7, g5, and now one of the main reasons we moved this knight from d7 is to be able to bring this knight to d7 to go to e5. But my opponent didn't understand that and went to h5. Keep in mind, this is game in 30, high intensity. We're playing for a big title, state champion, and a trip to Denker, which is like a couple $1,000 trip. So both of us are playing emotionally because we want to win too badly. If you ever lose objectivity when playing a game, especially a high stakes game, you will play worse than you normally play. Yeah.
Did you say the kid was rich?
Yeah, but that's going to be a topic for another time. because we're not doing that in the video. All right, so knight h5, knight b3, and this was me basically saying, I don't like your knight there, but I don't care about the deficiencies in the pawn structure I'm going to get. He takes, messes up my pawn structure. Now my king will never be safe. So we're in full-blown risk mode here. h6, rook c1, setting up some tactics. Rook c8, I take, he takes. And now neither king will ever castle in this game. I mean, this is coffee house chess. We're just hitting each other as hard as we can. Queen d4. Queen b4. And right here, if I would have found proper continuation, bishop takes b5 is pretty good to take the knight. That was boss. But of course, I had about 10 seconds here, and my opponent had less than 3. I played a4. He played bishop e5. We play a couple moves, and once we get check right here, b4, knight g3, stuff's happening, and on b takes a5, as I'm playing this move, I ran out of time. But in this moment right here, I had, and I see you guys do it too in tournament games, I had no recollection of what the time was. And we were playing on an analog clock, and I had about 10 to 12 seconds before this move. My opponent had 1. If I would have made any move, like any freaking move, like queen d7 check, sacking my queen to flag him like you do in a chess.com game, I could have because there was no delay. I froze. And from that, it was my only shot in the year to go to Denker. So I was very, very upset by the loss. It was an extremely tough loss for me to take. And I knew that I froze, and I knew that it was a weakness. And not having a coach at the time, my solution was, I'm never going to freeze again. How do I fix it? So I literally played 10,000 one-minute games. I haven't frozen since. If you see that you have a problem, you have to deliberately practice in order to fix the problem. I also saw that my opening was crap here. I wasn't in good form. I didn't play fast when I needed to. Tactics, I was missing things. I was weak in every single area in this game. So, in the next video, you'll see the product of my work, jumping from April to September, playing the same person in the same opening, and instead of game in 30, this was game in 90. So we'll see the quality difference in that game, and keep in mind that this is about the psychology of competition, which is kind of why I rushed the moves towards the end there. I don't even really remember the game. It's more, why do we train? Why do we get better? Those are the questions that we're looking at.